All right, good afternoon, everybody. Just want to make sure you guys have your notes for 6-4. For today, we're taking a look at the linear versus exponential equations. So on 6-4, if you got your notes out, make sure you understand this is the first example. Our objective is to determine if a function is linear or exponential. So we talked about linear functions, which are lines, and the exponential functions, which we've been doing since the beginning of this unit. So you're going to have a table or you're going to have equations that you can kind of compare and see what's going on with each one. So let's go ahead and review. Let's take a look at the general form of the exponential function, which is that y equals a times b to the x power. And what we said on these were just make sure that you understand the parts. So a is your number in front, which is the initial amount. It's also the y-intercept when we looked at the tables, so don't forget that it's 0, a for your y-intercept. If you see a number that starts with 0 on your tables, that second number is your y-intercept, which is the number that goes in front. Also, we said b is the constant multiplier, and anytime you have a number that is not 1 in front, we said make sure you're dividing the b with the a to get the correct multiplier inside. Okay, so as long as it's a 1 in front, then b is just that number, and if the number in front is something other than 1, we divide b with a. Also, if you're looking at the bottom, function, exponential function, is the y values come out to whatever numbers you get because of the change caused by the constant multiplier. Okay, so that's the parts. There's really only two numbers you have to worry about, the a and the b. When you looked at the problems here on the I do, let's see if we can remember what to do with these. If you see the chart over there on the side, right away I see that this one says 0 in front, and therefore this has to be the letter A, which is what we want in our equation. Okay, so that's your y-intercept, and I think there's a question right here that says which is the y-intercept. Well, you would just write down 0, 5. There's your y-intercept. So that's one of the easiest things that you can find when you're looking at the exponential. They want to know if it's increasing or decreasing. Well, we have to figure out what to do with the numbers that there was my b. So I want to find my b now. So right here, b, remember when we did this on the other notes, as long as the number in front starts with 1, then that's got to be your b next to it. So in this case, b has to equal 10. Oh, and hey, right here, we just identified both of these. There's 10. A is going to be the 5. And so I know that if I'm looking at the number in front, let's see if we could write an equation now. We'll come down here. And we said A was the y-intercept, which is also the first number in front. The second number, if you look at it, this is going to be your b. And we said b was going to be the 10. But remember, this 5 is not a 1, so I have to divide that 10 with the 5 in the front. So inside the parentheses, don't forget you want to do that. And this is to the x power. So if you're looking at the formula that's up here, this formula is what I'm following. It should be y with 5 in front. And in the parentheses, guys, 10 divided by 5 should give you 2. And that is the correct formula here. So if you see it, let me make this a little clearer. The number in the parentheses should be 2. And it's being raised to the power of x, and you're multiplying the 5 in front. There's my equation. And then don't forget what I have here is the multiples. What am I being multiplied by? Well, that's the number that's inside the parenthesis. This is being multiplied by 2. Okay, so because this number is bigger than 1, we know that it's going to be an increasing function. And you can kind of see it from the graph here. This is, think about it, times 2. So if I do 5 times 2, there's your 10. If I multiply 2 again, there's your 20. If I multiply 2 again, there's your 40. So you can see as I'm going down the graph, every time it increases by 1 on the left side, the right side is timesing by 2. And that makes sense anytime we have an equation that is a exponential. Here's another. Let's do the same thing we just did earlier. The number in front of the 0, that's your a. So we know that one. We can say that's 2. The number with a positive 1, oh, we don't have a positive 1 here. So I'm kind of stuck with b for a second, but there's a way around this. So let's keep the a as 2. And then remember what we did on the last one. We kind of looked at how these were increasing. So if I kind of take a look, you can see there is a multiplier here. It looks to be like these are going down in numbers. So here's what you can do. You can take any number that's on your y chart, and you can take the one above it and divide it out. So if I want to find b here, it's kind of a neat little trick here. Pick any number you want. Let's go ahead and pick, I'll pick the 6 here. All right, and then the one right before it, let's divide that one. So this is going to be 6. And the one right above it, that's the 18. I'm going to divide by 18. And if you look at it, here's what I get. 6 over 18 reduces down to 1 over 3. And that would make sense if I'm looking at these numbers at the top. 54 times 1/3, which is the same thing as divide by 3. That would be the next answer, which is 18. So 54 times 1/3. Yep, that's 18. And let's check it again. If I times 1/3 again, yep, divide by 3, that gives me 6. And if I times 1/3 again, yep, that will give me the 2. So as long as I can see that it's dividing by 3 each time or timesing by 1/3 each time to get to the next number down, then this is the correct B answer. Okay. And so I can see these are decreasing in number, so this is definitely a decreasing graph. If you look at the multiple, we just said it, we're multiplying by 1/3. Okay, so remember they asked for the multiple, that's the B. So just keep that in mind. Anytime we find that, that's the answer for that top one there. And then write the equation. Okay, well now I know this is going to be 1/3. So we can write this out. Y equals, your number in front here was 2. And we just figured that this is the correct number. This is the multiplier. So as long as this number is the one that multiplies to get me the next number, then I can leave this alone. This is the correct 1/3. Okay. Oh, that should be purple here. Make that the right color. Okay. And then I should have a power X. All right, let's flip back to the previous one real quick, just to show you that this still works. So you saw how I have a times 2 times 2 times 2, and we can see that that is the number down here as your B. But earlier we said, well, we'll take the number that we recognize from the chart, starting with 1, and then said that was the B. Okay, we had to divide out that number by the 5, since 5 was not a 1. Okay, that was when we can find both A and B on the chart. Last time we didn't find the B on the chart, so here's what I could do. I could still do this without having to divide the 5. I can actually just take any two numbers here in your chart. Let's do 40 and 20, just so you can see how I would end up with this too. If I take the 40 and divide the number right above it, which is the 20, now you can see that 40 divided by 20, well, that is 2. Okay, so it's possible that we could have got the 2 that way. instead of looking for the number in front. So just saying, anytime it's exponential, you can do that. That's always going to be the number inside the parentheses. Take any number on the y and divide the one before it. All right, move on. Just to review linear, here's your linear. Remember, slope is going to be your m. B is your y-intercept, and just like before, if I know that that's the b for the linear, then a was your y-intercept on the other exponential. Here on linear functions, the constant rate of change is the m. Let's take a look at those ones now. Here we can see that on the graph, as I'm going further down, because on the left side it's negative to positive, so these are going from left to right, which means I can see the numbers are getting smaller to start with, and then they start getting larger after that. So -7 to -5, that's an increase. -5 to -3, that's an increase. So this thing is definitely increasing as I go from left to right. Okay. By what rate? Well, the rate, remember, is the slope. But since each of these are increasing by 1 on the left here, really the slope is just going to be these two numbers. And if I just subtract, this is actually interesting. Take any number that's in the chart, and instead of dividing it, we're going to subtract the one before it. So if I do a minus, and then the one above it here was -7, take a look. Negative, negative, well, that becomes a positive. So now I have -5 plus 7, which means I have a positive 2. And since -1 minus -2 is a positive 1, technically this is over 1. It's still 2, right? So if you're just looking at your slope, that tells me that every number in my chart should be adding 2 more. So if you look right here at -7 plus 2. If I go -5 plus 2, yep, that's -3. And if I do -3 plus 2, yep, there's your -1. So it's kind of neat that you can just take any number and subtract the one above it, and that will give you your slope on these charts, so long as each one of these on the left here are increasing by 1. Okay, so we just answered this question. This answer has got to be 2. And over here on the chart, anything that starts with 0, remember that's going to be your y-intercept. So this -3 here is the letter B. That's your y-intercept. And so we can write the y-intercept as a coordinate, 0, -3. Or we can say it's B equals -3. All right, for the equation, we got y equals m. We just said that's the slope, so this is the 2 that goes in front. There's your x. And then for b, we can say plus or minus. In this case, it's a -3. And then that's your linear equation for that particular table. Okay. All right. So the slope, I kind of went a little fast on that, but just know that you just can subtract any number and the one before it. So -5 minus -7. If I did -3 minus a -5, it's still going to be 2. Okay. All right. Take a moment, see if you can do this one. All right, great job. If you got the same answers that I did, decreasing, because it's decreasing every time going down. If you took the 3 here and the 6, the one before it, and you subtracted the 3 minus 6, there's your slope. Slope here is -3. And then that means if I minus 3 to each one, you can see that those are the answers we're getting. So slope makes sense at -3, or m equals -3. And then don't forget your y-intercept is the one that starts with 0. So 6 is your y-intercept. And if you have this equation, you're good. Okay. There is a little bit more on the next page. So I need you to go ahead and go into your notes on Google Classroom and click on the second video so we can go through those real quickly, and then I'll have your assignment for you. So see you in the next video.